One of the most common problems I see when I'm talking to companies is a desire to talk to as many potential customers at once as possible. The problem with that, of course, is that the more people you try to reach with a single message, the more generic the message is going to be. Why is that an issue? It all boils down to brain science, which is super fun. And of course, marketing is all about understanding humans and getting into their head. So the more we know about how brains work, the better. So what happens with our brains is our brains are actually very focused on conserving energy. Why is that? Because making decisions takes energy. And the more decisions we make, the more depleted we feel. That's why a lot of times at the end of the day, you feel so tired. In fact, the Harvard Business Review just had a little snippet about a research study that a guy named McLean did about what happened to people in the morning, what happened to people overall when they were forced to change their morning routine, which is normally something that we all do pretty generically and, same thing every day, same. When people were forced to change their morning routine, they actually were less productive during the day because they had to expend a lot more brain energy in the morning than they usually did, thereby leaving them less energy for the rest of the day to be productive. So, what does that have to do with you as a marketer? What that has to do with you is that listening to a message and actually acting on it takes energy. And our brains are hardwired to ignore as many messages as possible to conserve energy. That's why, as marketers, we need a super focused message to actually have a chance of even beginning to penetrate. My favorite example that I use with students has to do with resumes. Think about resumes like you would a message. So I'm guessing that most of you have gone through a resume pile before. Stop and think about that last time you had to look through a pile of resumes. What was the happiest thing about going through that pile of resumes, aside from, of course, finding the perfect candidate? I'm going to bet that if you're like most of the folks I talk to, the happiest thing is making the no pile. Why is that? Because, of course, a no pile means you never have to pay attention to that resume again. Whereas a yes, putting a resume in the yes pile means that you suddenly have a whole new to-do list around that resume. You need to get the interview scheduled. You need to do a screening interview. You might need to arrange for that person to come in and meet with the rest of your team. If things go really well, there's going to be reference checks. There's going to be salary negotiations. There's going to be onboarding and on and on. But anyway, you can see that by putting that resume in the yes pile, you're actually setting yourself up for a lot more work. Whereas if you put that resume in the no pile, you're done. That's your brain on messaging. If you think of the resume like a message, people's brains want to put your message in the no pile. The best chance you have of getting through is to have a message that's super targeted, super focused, perfect for that job opening, to help someone be forced to really reluctantly pay attention to your message because it's very clear that it's for them. That's why positioning is so important. We need to have a very specific target in mind. We need to really understand their unmet need, and we need to understand how what we have to offer meets their unmet need in a way that they're willing to pay for or sign up for, whatever it is that you want them to do. So the next time you think about messaging, you may want to work on your positioning to make sure that it's as targeted and focused as possible so that your message can get put in the yes pile instead of that no pile.